Alright, you bunch of toe rags. Today's question I'll be answering will ensure you geezers have the most pucker face possible. What gives a bloke a better shave? A Panasonic foil shaver or a Braun foil shaver? My partners in crime for today's video are these two beasts. Number one, the Panasonic LV97, best known by its alias, the Arc 5. And number two, it's the Braun Series 7 foil shaver. And this hasn't got an alter ego like the Panasonic, it's just called Braun Series 7. Now let's get one thing straight. These two products are fucking sensibly priced, alright? If I test these companies' flagships like the Braun Series 9 Pro and the Panasonic Arc 6, then I'd have to give up my holiday to a fucking napper, wouldn't I? 300 quid each just to produce a video for you bunch of mugs. No way, Pedro. Besides, these two bad boys are much more sensibly priced at about 100 to 150 quid each. They represent the second best foil shavers on the market. And as I say on this channel, you could say these are higher bang for the buck. But guess what? We don't use bucks here, pal. Do I look like I'm from fucking Mississippi or something? This geezer's from that great land of white cliffs. And if you don't know where that is, then you can go and do one, son. I'm from Great Britannia, aren't I? So these two products will give you the greatest bang for your bob. And if you don't know how to speak proper British, I've left today's translations in the comments, lads. Anyway, let's have a chinwag, shall we? Which of these two foil shavers is the real king of the hill? First, let's talk specs, and we'll start with the Panasonic Arc 5 because I think Panasonic needs all the help they can get. If you ain't figured it out by now, this is a fucking foil shaver, and that means you got to use it in up and down motions. And I know what you're thinking about, you dirty git. Get that thought out of your head. By the way, this shaver's called the Arc 5, and if you want me to spell it out for you, you see there's 5 little sections here on the shaver head. I mean, I can't really make it any clearer than that, to be honest. If you need help with counting to 5, then I've heard Carol Vorderman does some really cushy maths books for kids. I'll leave that in the description if you're interested. This 5-blade cutting system delivers 70,000 cross-cutting actions per minute, and it's got some Japanese steel tech that puts the blade at 30 degrees to get the perfect cut or some shit like that. And I'll translate that for you. It's a bunch of Japanese lads making shiny metal shit that cuts things. So we can safely assume it's probably pretty fucking sharp. It has a flexible head, which Panasonic say pivots effortlessly in 16 directions independently to follow your mug's contours and keep it in close contact with the face, neck, chin and jaw. So basically, don't go using it to shave your penis shaft. For that job, you're better off buying a bleeding Manscaped or something like that. For my shaft though, you'll need something a lot bigger, like a fucking lawnmower, mate. Petrol powered. It's got an intelligent shave sensor, so it senses how hairy your beard is 220 times a second and adjusts its power 14 times as you shave. Whoop-de-doo, Basil. I gotta say, Panasonic are killing me here with all these numbers. Basically, lads, it's a clever shaver. Let's move on. The version I got came with this nifty little cleaning station, which looks like it's got enough buttons to stage a rocket launch. It's also got a travel case, which is the most exciting thing I've said so far today. You need to replace the blades like pretty much any shaver, right? Except I can't find a replacement set on Amazon yet. That's a bit shit, innit? So I'll chat a bit more about that later. Yeah, and it's got this built-in slider thingy to change your modes like. So you got the free mode, which allows the shaving head to move. Then you've got the lock mode, which pretty much does what it says on the tin. And then you got the trimmer mode, which pops up this little built-in trimmer thingy and it locks it in place nice and tight so it doesn't retract when you're trimming. Unlike that shitty Philips Series 5000 I tested last week, which kept denying my bush the pleasure of a hassle-free trim. You can use the Panasonic wet or dry if you want, and by definition, as it's waterproof, you can also wash it under a tap like this. Final thing, the battery takes 1 hour to charge and 3 minutes of charging time will give you one full shave. Kushti. That's just enough time for me to... Let's move on to the Braun Series 7. The Braun Series 7 7 is also a foil shaver. Just like the Panasonic, you must use it in up and down motions. It's got a 360 flex design head with some sort of suspension in it, you know, to soften the blow a bit. Like the Panasonic, it also scans your face to see how hairy you are, and it adjusts the motor in response. But Braun call this auto sense technology and don't shower you with science like Panasonic do. Instead of a built-in trimmer, you instead get a little accessory which you clip on the top to do your sideburns. Some might prefer the Panasonic's approach because it's kind of all-in-one like, but there are advantages to the Braun's design which I'll discuss later in this video. By the way, the Braun comes with a 100-day money-back guarantee, unlike the Panasonic. At least I couldn't find any literature from Panasonic that suggests any money-back guarantee. And if I'm wrong, instead of just fucking off at the end of the video, leave a helpful comment because, you know, it might help someone out. Like, Braun also bundled this travel case and this blade cleaning station. In terms of battery life, Braun reckon this lasts 50 minutes on a full charge, and a 5-minute quick charge should be enough to give you one full shave. Braun say it's engineered in Germany on their website. Is it me, or does that suggest it's not actually made in Germany? But if you look on the back of the device, it actually does say, in the smallest fucking writing possible, so you can't see it on video, made in Germany. So it is in fact made in Germany as well, and I made a boo-boo in my previous video. But if you want me to say sorry, you can just fuck off, mate, because I'm a real geezer, and I'll knock you out if you ain't careful. Anyway, like the Panasonic, it's got these shaver heads that need replacing, and it's pretty standard that you should replace them every 12 to 18 months. So what's my thoughts on these shavers? Let's start with the Braun this time, because the Panasonic went first last time, you see, so it's only fair. In it. And let's also start with what I do like about the Braun, because I'm feeling positive today, you see. It must be because I had a good dose of vitamin D earlier, and in the absence of sunshine, I heard this shit makes you happy. Not happy like you're taking fucking speed or something like that. Don't any of yous lot resort to popping some vitamin D pills on your lunch breaks now, because it don't work like that. Are you lot a bunch of addicts or something? Fuck me dead. Firstly, it's about 150 quid. Comes with all the accessories, comes with a respectable warranty, a 100-day money-back guarantee, and it's built like a brick shithouse as well. Like, it doesn't have this fiddly, dainty-looking design. It just looks like it's gonna last for a nuclear apocalypse or something. I mean, I don't know this for sure because I've not in fact tested this shaver for a nuclear apocalypse, but I just get this feeling in my heart or something. You know, that same feeling that Luton Town's gonna make it to the Premier League one day. You know, it might just fucking happen, son. The shave itself is actually really good, proper close, and can actually cut closer than a manual safety razor. Now, I know yous lot are fucking throwing your toys out your pram about that statement. How can an electric foil shaver cut closer than a proper razor? I'm telling you lads, I've tried this twice, and twice it cut shorter than my safety razor. But here's where it gets complicated though, so stay with me. This is only the case when you don't pull the skin taut. If you pull the skin super taut like you're trying to give your face a fucking Chinese burn or something, and then you use the safety razor, then the safety razor might cut your beard a little lower, you know. Fuck me, did I just say Chinese burn on this video? I mean, is that even considered a racist term these days? Quick question, what's the politically correct way of saying Chinese burn anyway? I'll quickly Google that, lads, because you know, I'm a geezer like, but I don't want to offend, do I? See, Google here is telling me that there's no real alternative to that term. Some geezers call it an Indian burn, but somehow I think that's even more racist. Scroll down a bit more and another geezer calls it a friction burn, but that's not really specific enough, innit? Like, if I skidded my arse across the carpet, that would also be a friction burn, but it's not quite the type of burn I'm specifically trying to describe like. So we've established here in 2023 the politically correct term for a Chinese burn doesn't actually exist. So to amend that statement, I'll have to refer to it as that kind of burn where you twist the skin on some prat's forearm in opposite directions. Now I've done that U-turn and I'm back in the realms of political correctness like. I'll continue describing my experience of the Braun Series 7. Yeah, so I don't like to pull the skin taut so much because if you do that when you're shaving, you get a greater risk of getting ingrown hairs, you see. And to be honest, it's pretty rank. The razor makes actual contact with your skin and you're literally just shaving the skin off your face. And with a manual razor, you get get bumps all over your face if you ain't careful. You geezers who are so obsessed with the closest shave, I don't know why you just don't get a stick of wax, slap it on your mug and rip the air off it if you're so fucking obsessed. Or just rub your beard with some petrol, set fire to the fucking thing, and I'm pretty sure that will get closer. And the added perk of that is you might never need to shave again. So it's kind of a hitting two birds with one stone sort of situation. Anyway, the Braun shave feels baby smooth to me, and I can't feel any stubble even with an upstroke on my face unless I press super hard, but honestly, who gives a shit? The shaver itself feels very nice in the hand. The blades move around freely, and it feels like rubbing a cotton pad all over my face, to be honest. The accessories it comes with are also proper pucker as well, like the charging stand that doubles up as a cleaning station. You get this cleaning liquid, you see, and it's a fully sealed system, so if you knock it over, it won't spill over or anything like that. So what lets this Braun shaver down then? The case. The case is the only bit that lets this shaver down, in my opinion. Like, it really doesn't do anything for me, I must say. It's a bit like a VW dashboard. Very plain, and it just does the job, but it's a little bit grey. Also, it's not really that noisy a shaver, but it is noisier than other electric razors I've used so far. So that's all I can say, really. It's easily in the range of bearable, but if we're making this some sort of warped contest where we focus on the most obscure features, like, is this shaver gonna cause me premature hearing loss? Nah, son, it's not too loud. It's a shaver, and it's within the limits of what a shaver should be in terms of decibels. But the Panasonic is a bit quieter and more refined sounding. I guess another slight letdown would be the performance of the shaver on the most enigmatic hairs, like you know, the hairs where you keep going over the same area and there's one little bastard there that just defies your blades and the 70,000 cutting actions that you're throwing at it. And after about 2 hours have elapsed, the little bastard there is still there trolling your ass with its two fingers held up high like some sort of defiant Millwall supporter or something. These hairs typically reside around your neckline. For this job, I think most people just resort to giving up and then getting the bastard with a proper razor or a trimmer like a Philips One Blade. I've yet to find an electric razor that gets them all in one pass, but maybe one day I'll find me Goldilocks shaver, lads. Let's move on to the Panasonic Arc 5. Okay, here's where it gets interesting. Not super interesting like an episode of fucking Game of Thrones or something like that, but something more akin to a mediocre form of entertainment, like your average episode of EastEnders, for example. So this Panasonic cuts very, very close, lads. Even closer than the Braun, which I was surprised about because I was impressed with the Braun to begin with. Seriously, lads, at times I was under the impression that this thing was ripping off my face rather than shaving it. Nah, listen, I'm being dead serious. Like, the skin left behind after a few passes with the Panasonic don't feel the same as the neighbouring skin. It feels more like I've just had some sort of microdermabrasion treatment or something. To put it into context, like, you know, like back in 1932 when they were trying to split the atom, if you went back in time and gave them one of these Panasonic foil shavers, they would have got the job done a lot quicker. That's how sharp these blades are, lads. Another pro of this shaver is the design and feel of it. I mean, it's like a work of art. I gotta say, fellas, I got a sort of eye for engineering, like, and I have a real respect for small spectacle geezers in white coats that design these smashing products for, you know, the benefit of mankind, like. And this is just one of those products. It looks really well made. The way the blade head moves and the way it feels in your hands, all the joints feel nice and tight. You can just tell it's been exquisitely designed. The sound of this electric motor has a high quality tone to it, and it just makes me smile to have it around the gaff. It doesn't look as hardy as the Braun. Like, I wouldn't mind throwing the Braun about a bit and treating it with a bit of disrespect from time to time. So to paint a picture, the Braun is more like a one night stand after a night out on the lash sort of affair. Get the job done, move on with your life, lad. The Panasonic is more a settle down for life sort of shaver. You know, all wedding bells and the sound of little sprogs pitter-pattering around the house. Proper dream shaver material I'm talking about here, lads. This is all getting a bit like that show, ain't it? Snog, Marry, Avoid. Don't know if any of you lads have watched that, but let's get back to chatting about fucking shavers, shall we? Because you lot are wasting my time now. What lets the Panasonic down? Well, you know how I compared the Panasonic to marrying the love of your life earlier, right? It turns out it's more like that than you think, because statistically speaking, like, most marriages do end in divorce. So after you're actually done shaving with this thing, you will be red in the face, mate, and I'm talking literally and not figuratively here. Just like true love, this thing just hurts. They say time is a great healer, but they got it wrong with this one. I used it for about 4 weeks, and by week 2, I looked like Jabba the fucking Hutt. I swear, lads, Miguel almost threw me out the house because she said I was getting too ugly to be around. So we've gathered it wasn't very comfortable, and I can already hear you dickhead keyboard warriors out there just getting ready to say your bit. Oh, I've got a Panasonic, and it's the best shaver I've ever owned. Oh, I've got a Panasonic, and it's the most comfortable shave. Far more comfortable than my previous Braun model. Yeah, well, whoop-de-doo. Good for you, lad, because the world revolves around you, innit? If you want evidence that this thing feels like you just caught your head in a bear trap, have a look at these reviews on Amazon. Looking at these photos, you'd think you're staring at a bunch of spotty teenagers, but these fellas look like they're fucking 50. Look at the state of that, mate. Sorry, Panasonic, I love you as a company. The old Viera plasmas of the day were mind-blowing. The cameras you currently make that don't have any phase detect autofocus or an actual fucking lens lineup that actually allows you to use the camera in varied use cases. You know, it's these little things, lads, but at least you're trying. Seriously, you gotta get your act together, panny boys, because what you got here is a smashing product, but I think you went a little bit far with how low this thing cuts at the expense of actually making it viable to use. If you shot an atom at this fucker, a bunch of fucking electrons will be flying around your gaff. Raise that closeness a tad, you know, to the molecular level as opposed to the atomic level or some shit like that, and then you've got a banger. However, I will say, I did find if you use a bit of lube on your face, it does do a better job in terms of the comfort, but even then, after a few repeated uses, I just thought, why am I doing this to myself? I shouldn't be having to use lube, should I? So this love story unfortunately ends in divorce, my friends. On the bright side, the Panasonic and I didn't have any kids together, so things at least didn't turn nasty in the courtroom. But here's another shitty feature about the Panasonic, and that's the replacement blades. I've gathered that with the Panasonic system, I think you gotta get two thingamybobs. You gotta get this outer foil part and an inner foil part, and you can actually buy them together as a set according to Panasonic, but I can't find any legit looking seller on Amazon, and I'm seeing all these weird prices like 200 quid or more from one seller. There are other places I've seen with prices around the 50 quid mark, but fuck me, this looks a lot more difficult than going on Amazon and just buying a Braun replacement. I can tell in 12 to 18 months time this might be a little bit painful, and I think I'd rather just avoid the hassle. You can't just buy any Arc 5 foils and they'll be compatible. The replacement you get has got to be compatible with your specific Arc 5 model number. I'll be honest, it's just confusing the shit out of me, lads, and I don't think my IQ is up to it, especially after a few pints. And by the way, any customer experience other than the one offered by Amazon just makes me feel like, you know, like I'm living on the edge a bit. But yeah, you can go to these other shaving websites and buy your replacements there, but I've never used those websites, so I can't comment on the experience. So what's my final thoughts on the Panasonic Arc 5 versus the Braun Series 7? Right, so we're at that stage now where I got you lot all lubed up and you're about to climax. Which shaver is indeed the superior shaver, the Panasonic Arc 5 or the Braun Series 7? Well, if you watched until this point, you know that the Panasonic and I didn't get on and we had to separate, a little bit like Charles and Diana from that show on Netflix. But I'm gonna try and be as unbiased as I possibly can. The Panasonic gives the superior shave if what you're looking for is the closest shave known to man. Blades so sharp that they can split atoms, and an exquisitely designed tool that makes you feel happy to have a hairy face that needs some seeing to a couple times a week. On the other hand, to own and stay with the Panasonic long term, you must literally have a jaw made of granite. The Panasonic replacement blade system also seems a little bit more tedious than the Braun replacement system. There's more parts to buy and they don't seem as easily accessible. The Braun, on the other hand, gives a close shave, not quite as close as the Panasonic, but still a close shave. However, the comfort of that shave is a lot better for my face, and many others I've seen in the reviews on Amazon agree with this geezer. The Braun also has a better cleaning station, because if you knock it over, it won't leak because the tank is fully sealed, unlike the Panasonic. For me, the trade-offs of owning a Braun is easier to live with. On the plus side, if Disney ever needed a stunt double for the role of Vision from Marvel's Avengers, then I might just switch my shaver to a Panasonic Arc 5. So the question is this geezer gonna keep any of these shavers? So tell you the truth, pals, trying both of these products out out has made me not want to keep any of them. As a matter of fact, I might just cancel my trip to Ayia Napa and test out the Braun Series 9 Pro. Hopefully this has all the qualities in a shaver I'm looking for. Most importantly, allowing me to look like a proper dapper geezer in the shortest time possible. Bosh.